So blocking a sweater. Let's talk about a sweater. This sweater was knit by a friend of mine, and it's got lovely elements to it and a few little issues that she felt were beyond her to solve. And so she asked if I would take it. Let's start with the easy part. This part of the skirt, or the body of the sweater, really just needs to be steamed. You can see it's got kind of uneven stitching. Not that her stitching is uneven, but you know, the yarn, well, it has its own ideas. Her knitting is beautiful. It just needs to be encouraged to lay flat, whoops, and behave. Up here, it has two elements in this yoke. It's got this color work section, which if you look closely, you can see has a little bit of a dimensional effect going on. When you do color work, that's called smocking, and it happens when you carry the floats back behind. So you're carrying the blue behind the gray, and it causes whichever color is on top to rise up. When you steam it, that opens up. This pattern also features lace. Beautiful little lace eyelets here and here, and there's little lace elements in here. Not that you can really see them yet. Hopefully you can when you get it blocked. Also, the sleeves, just like the body, need to be encouraged to their new shape. I don't really want to change the size of the neckline, or really even the size of the sweater, but I want it to lay flat. She likes to wear things a little loose, and this needs some encouragement. But the real problem with this sweater is in the back. This was knit with hand-dyed yarn. And when you knit with hand-dyed yarn, you are encouraged to change skeins. Knit with 2 skeins at once and change them as you go. So knit 2 rounds or 1 round with one, and then knit 2 rounds or 1 round or whatever with the other. She chose to carry it right up the center back, which is where they had for the beginning of the row. And it has left this really uneven spot up the front of the sweater, or actually the middle of the back. Now, if I were the one knitting it or designing it, I would have put that under one arm or the other. But she followed the pattern, and kudos for her. So I'm going to start by steaming the body, and I'll be back. So here I am halfway around steaming the body, and I thought I would take a moment and show you the difference between the steamed side, this is the back, and the unsteamed front. And see how this lays nice and flat over here? Really pretty. And this has yet to settle into its new spot. And then down here near the ribbing, you want to make sure that you don't steam the ribbing. And I haven't gotten close enough to the ribbing yet, so it's a little wobbly right down in here. But that's okay. I will take care of that. It just needed a little bit of work. This also has short rows to lengthen the back. So you can see it kind of does this longer part here. So I'm sure some of this is wrap and turns from short rows, and we'll take care of it. There we are. There's the front, all blocked. It just needs to lay flat and dry. You can see now it's actually laying flat, which is fantastic. And the back, where we had that color change carry, while still visible, this is why I usually put it at the underarm, is better. It's not great, but you know, there's only so much you can do to fix it. I'm going to give it one more steam here up the back, and I'm really letting the steam settle in. So I'm really hovering over it. Make sure it gets good and steamy right in that very area I want to deal with. Here we go. And now I'm going to try a little more pat it flat. I don't want to run anything over it because sometimes that can make the yarn go all fluffy on you. And I don't want to do that. I just want to encourage it to lay a little more flat. So there we go. I'm going to leave the body sit for 24 hours and let it dry really well. And then I'll talk to you about the yoke. So today is the day that we're going to block the yoke of this sweater. And previously we talked about the fact that this yoke has a couple of different challenges. One, it's got color work, which tends to give it this more dimensional look that honestly shouldn't be there. It should be absolutely flat. And also it has these lace bands here and here, and a little tiny poke of lace right in between each of the motifs. And that should open up a lot more than it is. So to start, I want to do something to support the body. I don't want to stretch the body out any more than it is. And I know this is at kind of a ridiculous angle on my blocking mats, and that's because the sleeves go way out and I can't just do it across. And it's easier to do it upside down to me because I can reach the part I need to block. So it looks a little upside down and backwards, but that's okay. These little combs, I don't know if you can see those steel teeth on them. Several different companies make them. Knitter's Pride are the ones I have. And they work really well for not damaging your knits and holding things in place. So I'm putting them around my yoke to stop me from pulling the body as I block the yoke. And they come in a couple of different lengths. I also have the shorter ones, which are going to be really handy right about there. So now I can pull on this and not do anything to the body, which is great. Next, I have blocking wires. And I would highly suggest that if you're going to buy yourself some blocking wires, you get regular blocking wires, not lace ones. The lace ones to me are too flimsy. I use these to block lace, so it's not a big deal. I just find that the lace ones are a little too flimsy. And I push my hand down into the sleeve and grab a hold of the tips in the palm of my hand and pull them all the way through the sleeve. I've put 2 blocking wires in this sleeve. I'm going to put 2 blocking wires in that sleeve, and then I'll come back and show you how to pin this out and steam it. Okay, now you can see I have put more of my combs in here, and I have pulled this flat and opened up the lace. It's not going to be lace like a lace shawl, but it does actually stand a little more open. And I have put one at each of the shoulders to help support it. And I have put one across the sleeve on both sides, just like I did the body. So I'm not stretching the sleeve and I'm pulling the yoke out in a semicircle. I have secured the underarms with the wires in there. So the wires are running around the outside of the sleeve and the top of the shoulder to help pull it all uniform. So I don't have to pin all the way along here. I just have a couple of things to support it. And let's see, I have measured my armhole depth on both sides to make sure I have not made one arm grossly larger than the other. And I think I'm going to adjust over here because I feel like this could go down a little bit. And I'm not going to pin all the way down my sleeves because they don't need to be stretched. I'll give them a light steaming later, but they don't need to be stretched. What needs to be stretched is this. I've got my steamer warming up. There it's steaming. And I'm going to start by going along the color work section. And keep in mind you have 2 layers of sweater. So there's the back underneath this. So you want to make sure the steam gets through all of the layers. And that popping sound you hear is the condensation inside the tube of my steamer. It's actually kind of a happy little sound. And again, I'm not touching the nozzle of the steamer to the surface. I'm hovering right above it, driving the steam in as deep as I can get it to go, and getting all of the knit to kind of relax. And now you can start to see the lace in between the motifs a lot better. It's opening up, giving us more bang for the buck. You put all that work into the lace, you want to show it to its best effect. You want to open it up. I keep steaming in this semicircular motion because that's the direction it was knit. And I always try to steam in the direction that it was knit. if I start steaming over here before I've really given it a good steam bath, it will block unevenly. So I try to do it in these little semicircles that match the rounds of knitting. Now you can see the color work lays nice and flat. Let me zoom in so you can really see it. Nice and flat. There's none of that dimensionality that we had before, and the lace is much more open. And the only thing left to do at this point is let it sit for 24 hours. I'll flip it over, pull all the pins out and flip it over. Make sure the back got steamed really well. If it didn't, I'll touch it up. And then I'll do a light steam on the sleeves, probably at the same time. And this sweater will be ready to be worn.